Eleanor Whitman was 70 years old when she finally decided to stop waiting. She lived in a quiet coastal town in Oregon, where the mornings smelled of salt and old wood, and the evenings were filled with the distant cry of seagulls. Her small white house stood alone at the end of a narrow road, facing the endless Pacific Ocean. From her front porch, she could watch the sun rise every morning, a ritual she had followed for more than 40 years. To most people, Eleanor was just an old lady. But the truth was far more complicated. A life once full of dreams in her youth, Eleanor had been fearless. Born in 1955 in Chicago, she grew up in a working-class family. Her father was a factory worker, and her mother stitched clothes late into the night to make ends meet. Money was always tight, but dreams were never in short supply. Eleanor dreamed of becoming a writer. She used to sit by the window of their small apartment, scribbling stories in old notebooks. Stories about distant lands, brave women, and lives that refused to stay small. Her teachers often praised her talent, telling her she had a rare gift. But life had other plans. At 22, Eleanor fell in love with a man named Robert Whitman, kind, charming, and ambitious. He promised her a stable life, a family, and security. Writing, he said gently, could always remain a hobby. So Eleanor folded her dreams carefully and placed them on a shelf. She got married. She had 2 children. She supported her husband's career. And slowly, almost invisibly, she disappeared into the role the world expected her to play. Years of silence time moved fast. The children grew up and moved away. Robert became distant, then ill, and eventually passed away from a heart condition when Eleanor was 62. After his death, the house felt unbearably quiet. No more shared dinners. No more arguments. No more laughter echoing through the halls, just silence. Eleanor filled her days with routines, grocery shopping, gardening, occasional phone calls with her children who were always too busy. At night, she would sit alone, staring at the old bookshelf where her forgotten notebooks were still stacked, covered in dust. Sometimes she would take one down and read a few lines, and then she would cry. The diagnosis at 69, Eleanor received news that shook her to the core. Stage 3 lung cancer. The doctor spoke calmly, professionally, explaining treatment options and survival statistics. Eleanor listened politely, nodding, but her mind drifted elsewhere. All she could think was, so this is how it ends. That night, she didn't sleep. She sat on her porch until sunrise, watching the sky turn from deep blue to gold. And for the first time in decades, she felt something stir inside her chest. Regret. Not fear of death, but fear of never having truly lived. The next morning, Eleanor made a decision that surprised even herself. She refused aggressive treatment. Instead, she chose limited care, enough to manage pain, but not enough to prolong a life she felt had already been postponed for too long. Her children were furious. "You're giving up," her daughter cried over the phone. "No," Eleanor replied softly. "I'm finally choosing." Within a week, she pulled out all her old notebooks. She bought a new laptop. And she began to write. Writing like time was running out, Eleanor wrote every single day. She wrote about her childhood. She wrote about lost love. She wrote about women who were told to be quiet and refused. Her fingers trembled sometimes, but the words flowed like they had been waiting for decades. She started a blog, unsure if anyone would read it. She titled it, "Letters from a Life Almost Lived." At first, there were no readers. Then one day, a stranger commented, "Your words feel like you're speaking directly to my soul." That single comment changed everything. An unexpected audience within months, Eleanor's blog went viral. Young women, middle-aged men, elderly readers who felt invisible, they all found something in her words. She wrote honestly about aging, about regret, about love that comes too late, and courage that arrives just in time. News outlets picked up her story. "A 70-year-old woman finds her voice at the end of life," one headline read. Eleanor laughed when she saw it. "End of life," she whispered. "More like the beginning." The final book A publisher reached out. They wanted her to turn the blog into a book. Eleanor hesitated, not because she doubted herself, but because she didn't know how much time she had left. Still, she agreed. She worked harder than ever. Some days, the pain was unbearable. Some days, breathing felt like climbing a mountain. But she kept going, because now her life finally had urgency. The book was titled, 70 Years Too Quiet. It was released in spring. And it became a bestseller. The last sunrise Aliner never lived to see the full impact of her success. She passed away peacefully 3 months after the book's release. On her final morning, she asked to be taken to her porch. The sun rose slowly over the ocean, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Aliner smiled. "I waited 70 years," she whispered, "but I finally arrived." She closed her eyes, and for the first time in her life she felt complete. Her legacy after her death, Aliner's book was included in university courses. Her blog remained online, still gathering readers from around the world. And in her final published letter, she wrote, "If you are reading this and you are still breathing, you are not too old. You are not too late. Do not wait 70 years like I did."